Hey there, second grade, it's Mrs. Tucker. Today I am going to read our supporting story that goes along with our regular story, Officer Buckle and Gloria. This is usually the story that we find in our closed reader, or sometimes we read it in our regular reading book. This story is called Safety at Home, and it's by Margaret Sweeney, and this is something called a reader's theater. So I'm going to talk about what that is. So the genre over here, the type of story that we're reading, is a reader's theater, and it's a text or a story that has been written for readers to read out loud. So it would be like a play, like the play that we just saw with Miss Nelson Had a Field Day. It would be something like that. So people could act out the different parts if they wanted to. We could do something like that in the classroom if we were together in school. So there is dialogue between the characters in the play. That means the people are talking back and forth. So the whole play is pretty much people just talking back and forth, or the whole story is pretty much people talking back and forth. The dialogue helps the readers, or helps us, get to know the characters through their own words. Now this story has a cast of characters of 3 people. There's Dad, there's Alexa, and there's Jake. So those are the 3 people in this story. So as I'm reading through the story, I will actually say the name of the character so you know who's doing the speaking. So, Safety at Home by Margaret Sweeney. Let's get started. Dad says, "What did you do on your class trip?" Alexa says, "We visited an enormous fire station." Jake says, "The fire chief gave a speech about fire safety." Dad said, "I hope you were paying attention." Alexa says, "We were. Later, we worked with a buddy to make a safety poster. I worked with Jake." Jake says, "Look at our poster." And if you look down at the bottom here, it says stop, drop, and roll. There's our poster, their poster. And it says, number 1, if your clothes catch on fire, don't run. Number 2, stop where you are. Number 3, drop to the ground, cover your face with your hands. And number 4, roll over and over to put out the fire. We've heard those kinds of fire safety rules before. Okay, let's go on to the next page. Dad says, "I'm shocked. You know more about fire safety than I do." Alexa says, "Everyone in our school obeys fire safety rules." Jake says, "Guess what get low and go means?" Alexa says, "If the house is smoky, get low." Jake says, "That's because smoke rises. Get low to stay below the smoke." Alexa says, "Crawl to the nearest way out." Jake says, "Then go to a safe meeting place to wait for your family." Dad says, "Let's pick a meeting place right now." Now, I want you to think for a little bit. How is this story, even though it's a reader's theater, how is this story like our story, Officer Buckle and Gloria? We'll start with the ways that they are the same first. Well, I'm thinking Officer Buckle and Gloria talks about safety. Officer Buckle likes to do safety rules. And this story is talking about being safe at home, more specifically when it's talking about being safe in a fire, but it's also talking about being safe. So that's one way that they are the same. Also, too, in this story, Jake and Alexa talk about different kinds of safety rules, like stop, drop, and roll, and get low and go. Get low and go means if you see smoke in the air, get down near the ground like the girl's doing in this picture. Get down near the ground and crawl out as quickly as you can so that you get below the smoke. So they talk about different kinds of specific safety rules. And then Officer Buckle and Gloria talks about keeping his shoes tied and cleaning up spills and never stand on a swivel chair, those kinds of things. So there's some ways that they are the same. Now let's think about what are some ways that these stories are different. Well, our story, Officer Buckle and Gloria, is a humorous fiction story. Remember, the whole reason why the author, Peggy Rathman, wrote that story was really just to make us laugh. That was the whole reason why she wanted to write that story, just to make us laugh. So in that story also, too, you're going to have characters that do and say things that just don't really happen in real life. This story is a reader's theater story, so it's a totally different style of story or a totally different genre of story. Plus, in this story, this is things that really could happen. Kids could really take a class trip to a fire station where a fire chief could talk about safety rules, and they could really make a poster with different safety rules on it, and they could really practice how to keep safe from a fire at their home. So all of those things could really happen, which that wouldn't happen in a humorous fiction story. So this story is really more like an informational or a true fact story. It really could happen. So those are some ways that the story is different. Also, too, this story is a reader's theater where the characters are reading back and forth with dialogue. Officer Buckle and Gloria is more like just a story type of story, like a once upon a time type of story. It's not a lot of talking back and forth between characters. It's more of just like a story that's telling you something. All right, now that you've had a chance to watch this video, I want you to go on to your seesaw slides. You're going to answer 2 questions. The first question you're going to answer is going to ask you, how are the stories the same? And the second question is going to ask you, how are the stories different? And you're going to give 2 reasons for each one. So make sure you put 2 reasons down for both of those questions. All right, friends, we'll see you again soon. Have a good one. Bye.